Welcome to the Metal Matt Podcast, and on today's episode, I'll be counting down my top 10 favorite That 70s Show episodes. This was a bit of a tough list to do, because I love That 70s Show, but I somehow compiled the top 10, and so we're going to count them down. But first, I just want to give a couple quick shout-outs. One, Chucky's Playground. Without a doubt, the best website on the internet. Next week, we're going to have a live stream of Seed of Chucky and Curse of Chucky. You don't want to miss that. So if you want to join us, you have to be a member to join us. So go ahead and register at Chucky's Playground. As always, I'll put the link in the description. And we are definitely going to have some fun next week. So definitely be there. And another quick shout out to Spanky and G's podcast, Movie Mayhem. They recently did Napoleon Dynamite, and past episodes were Jack Frost and Pinocchio's Revenge. They have a great podcast, great chemistry. They're great people in real life. They're my best friends, so go ahead and check out their podcast. I'll put their link to their YouTube page in the description. So definitely check them out. It's a really great show. And so now it's time to shoot the shuffle. And number one, The Sign of the Southern Cross by Black Sabbath from Mob Rules. This was the second Black Sabbath album to feature the late, great Ronnie James Dio as the vocalist. And he does a great job with this one. And this one starts out as a really kind of Black Sabbath-y ballad. It starts with an acoustic guitar but I believe strings at first, but then it becomes a mid-tempo kind of ballad. Black Sabbath ballad. No one really does ballads, or at least slow songs, like Black Sabbath does. Number two, Dancing on Glass by Motley Crue from Girls, Girls, Girls. Well, I don't think that Girls, Girls, Girls is a strong album. I think it's a pretty decent album for what it is, and this one is one of the best songs off of it. Number three, Foreplay / Long Time by Boston from Boston. It really doesn't get any more classic rock than this. Boston, really cool kind of classic rock band, and this is a really cool, epic song. Number four, Buick McCain by T-Rex from The Slider. T-Rex, again, great glam rock band from the 70s, and it's just a really good song, maybe one of their best songs. Number five, Walk on Water by Ozzy Osbourne from Beavis and Butthead Do America soundtrack. Really good song, and I think the demo version of this is better than the actual one. I think there's two versions, the demo version and the actual version on the soundtrack. And I like the demo version that's in the movie better, but that's just me. Number six, Cease to Exist by Rob Zombie from Hellbilly Deluxe 2. One of the best songs on Hellbilly Deluxe 2, I think. Number seven, The Girl in the Bloody Dress by King Diamond from Give Me Your Soul, Please. King Diamond's latest album from 2007. Really good album. Number eight, Be My Druidess by Typo Negative from October Rust. I've gone on about Typo Negative. I think they're a great gothic metal, kind of doom metal kind of band in a very Black Sabbath-like sense, but they definitely have their own sound to it. And I think October Rust is probably their best album. Number nine, 13 Freaks by Scum of the Earth from Sleaze Freak. Sleaze Freak isn't as good of an album as Blah 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 Love Songs for the New Millennium, but I think it's a really good album for what it is from Scum of the Earth. Definitely has a very Rob Zombie kind of like sound, that industrial metal kind of sound, and it's really cool. And finally, number 10, Freddy in the Real World by Graham Revell from Freddy vs. Jason, original motion picture score. Now this song plays when Freddy gets dragged into the real world by Laurie, and Freddy and Jason fight out in the burning cabin. And it's just a really great song that definitely underscores really just a very good movie, and that's one of the best scenes, if not my favorite scene in the movie. So Shoot the Shuffle is over, and now it's time to count down my top 10 favorite That 70s Show episodes. And this one was a really tough one to do, because I love the show, but somehow I did it. So let's get this started. And this probably won't be a long episode either, but, we'll see. Number 10, Fun It, from Season 8. Now I know that Season 8 is not the most loved season of the show. And to be honest, I can see why. Because Randy sucks as a character, and it's just not as entertaining without Ashton Kutcher and Topher Grace. But with that said, I do enjoy Season 8 for what it is. I think this episode is the best from Season 8. In this episode, the gang decides to steal the ceramic clown from the local burger shop, Fatso Burger. And it really just kind of becomes this, big thing. It just kind of gets a bit insane at times. They steal it, they get high with the clown, which, one thing I do have to mention, the circle, which is kind of really just entertaining in itself. It kind of becomes entertaining when they do it with the clown, for no reason at all. But anyway, it just kind of becomes this really big thing. Maybe the best part of the episode is when Bob, Donna's father, drives up to the drive-thru. And Fatso Clown is basically... it's basically the menu for it. At the fast food places where you drive up and there's a menu. He's kind of there next to the menu. So Bob drives up and all the gang scatters except for Fez. And then Fez gets behind the clown and does its voice, which is pretty funny. And Bob gets into just this weirdo argument with the clown, and it's just really funny. It really does have to be seen to be believed. And that's probably one of the best episodes, maybe the only good episode from Season 8. Number 9, That 70s Musical from Season 4. A bit of a bizarre episode when you really think about it. And it basically is what you think it would be. And it's a musical episode of the show. In this episode, Fez is in some type of chorus class or something like that at school. And there's a recital coming up. And he wants all his friends to come. It just becomes, they sing songs like Happy Together by the Turtles, Who Love Hurts by Nazareth, The Joker by Steve Miller, just stuff like that. Very 70s-esque kind of songs. And one of the things that I need to mention here is that Roger Daltrey of The Who guest stars in this episode as Wilkinson, Fez's music teacher. And he's really funny. But at the same time, you really do have to kind of wonder, why didn't they get him to sing in the episode? Out of all the people that are in this episode, why didn't you have, without a doubt, one of the best frontmen and singers in rock history, The Who? Why did you not get Roger Daltrey to sing in this episode? That's probably the most wasted opportunity on this show, But he does a good job as the music teacher, and it's just a really fun episode, Number 8, That Wrestling Show from Season 1. Season 1 was kind of, it wasn't a bad season, but you could tell that they were just getting started. And this one focuses on the gang going to see a local wrestling show. And The Rock guest stars as his father, Rocky Johnson. And he does show the charisma that would identify him in future movie roles, And it's just a really cool episode. The Hardy Boys also guest star in it as well, and that's pretty cool. Ken Shamrock also guest stars in it as a wrestler. And it's just a really cool episode. It probably could have done a little bit more with it. But overall, I think it's a pretty interesting episode. Number 7, Eric Gets Suspended from Season 2. In this episode, Eric gets suspended when he is holding Donna's cigarette. He gets blamed for holding Donna's cigarette. And it just really becomes... Red is probably my favorite character on the show. He's just really funny, but stern at the same time. And he's like, Mr. Smoker. Eric's like, I don't smoke. So it's just a really funny episode. Number 6, Too Old to Trick or Treat, Too Young to Die, from Season 3. This is probably the most bizarre episode of the series. In this episode, it's a Halloween episode, and the show has done 2 Halloween episodes. And I think this one is the best Halloween episode they did. And in this episode, it's basically a parody of a lot of Hitchcock films, Alfred Hitchcock films. And Fez is dressed as Dr. Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror Picture Show for really no reason. But, yeah, Eric and Fez go on the roof. Fez falls from the roof, suffers a sprained ankle, much like in Rear Window. And Eric gets vertigo, like in Vertigo. And a lot of scenes in here are just very much parodies of certain scenes from Hitchcock films. Like, Kitty has to feed the birds, the neighbor's birds. Obviously, a parody of the birds. Another plot revolves around Kelso being mistaken for a foreman. I believe Red Foreman, I believe. And I'm not sure what movie that's from. I'm trying to remember. Can't really remember this. I know what movie it's from. I can't think of the name at this time. And there's also Psycho references, and it just parodies a lot of Hitchcock, and it's just really funny just to kind of see him do all this. And I don't think they shot it in front of an audience, and this is one of the few episodes where they didn't shoot in front of an audience. So the episode can be weird at times, but it's definitely one that you should check out. Number 5, A Legal Matter, from Season 6. This is a really cool episode. In this season, Kelso decides to be a cop for a living. And, of course, he is kind of the bumbling cop. And his boss, played by the late James Avery, from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Uncle Phil kind of fame. He plays, like, the chief, I think. He plays Kelso's boss. And Kelso decides to break into the police academy because he thinks that that he's the stooge, the cop that everyone thinks is going to fail. And it's just a really kind of funny episode. And in the subplot, Fez has to pass a citizenship test, and Red decides to teach him citizenship. And Red, of course, is the conservative, all-American kind of guy. And, like, just the way that he teaches Fez is really funny. And Fez, has this accent. And he can't say America for some reason. He says, America. There is no D in America. And he's like, say my son's name. And Fez says it without the accent, Eric. It's just really funny. That whole subplot is just really funny. And Season 6, I think, is kind of an underrated season. Not a lot of people talk about it, but I think it's really good. Number 4, Rip This Joint, from Season 7. This one is another really fun episode from Season 7. And it revolves around, trying to think here. Oh yeah, it revolves around Eric. He takes a year off, and he decides to go ahead and trench Old Man Shinsky's yard. And he decides to do something called the Moon and Trench, which he will moon the actual person, the actual owner of the house, then trench the yard. Unfortunately, his car breaks down, and he gets sent to the police station without his pants. And he's like in his underwear for the entire show. And it's a really funny episode. And Kelso gets locked in jail. And this contains one of my favorite lines from the episode. He's like, oh yeah, and the guy that got his yard trenched. He's like, oh yeah, that guy was here too with him. And Kelso was like, no, I wasn't there. I was just investigating the underworld trenching underground. It goes farther than you think. The whole middle school might be on it. He's like, okay, Kelso, in you go. He's like, Kelso's like, oh, you're putting me in jail? And the cop says, maybe a few hours in jail will give you a new respect for the law. And Kelso's like, but that's the thing, it won't. Like it's just things like that really make this episode really funny. He's like, and Eric comes home without his pants, and Red's like, "You're coming home without pants again? I'm going to paint some pants on you." And he's like, I don't know where we went wrong with you. We take you to church, we try and raise you as a decent, honorable human being, and here you are, a bottomless deviant. It's just a really funny episode. That's definitely worth a watch. Number 3, Fez Gets the Girl from Season 3. This one is a little bit sentimental value to me because this was the very first episode of That 70s Show I ever saw. So it definitely has a sentimental value to me. I believe I was just flipping channels on TV. And they used to run That 70s Show on FX channel, the FX channel. I'm not sure if they still do or not. I don't think they do. But back in the day, they always used to run That 70s Show on FX. And the original channel was Fox. And I think this was maybe, a year after it got canceled. But they always run it all the time on Fox and on FX. And I think they run on Nick at Night as well. And on Team Nick, I think they still run it, but they run it on a lot of places. And this was the first one I saw while flipping channels, and I came across this episode on the FX channel. And with that episode, I instantly fell in love with the series. And the plot revolves around Fez finally getting a girlfriend. And both of them are just as nervous as each other is, if that makes any sense. And just a really cool show. And the subplot revolves around Donna winning Led Zeppelin tickets, and her trying to find the people that she wants to go with. And it's just a really funny episode, and it's definitely very sentimental for me. And Eric gets the Employee of the Month from PriceSmart, where he works, and that's a really funny subplot as well. And it's just a really good episode. Number 2, Black Dog from Season 5. Another great episode. In this one, Kelso accidentally shoots Hyde with a shotgun. And he thinks that he shot Hyde in the eye, but he didn't. But Hyde decides to milk it for all it's worth to make Kelso feel bad about it. And it's just a really funny episode. And Kelso's like, guys, Hyde's going to be a Cyclops for the rest of his life. And it's just a really funny episode. Season 5 is just a really funny season, so it's just a really good episode. And number 1, my favorite episode of the series, Can't You Hear Me Knockin' from Season 7. And this one is pretty cool as well. It's another kind of bizarre episode. In this one, Kelso prank calls the White House. Just kind of on a dare as well. And Kelso calls the White House, and he's supposed to mention a death ray from Russia, because he read it in a comic book. But he never does. He's like, "Hello, is this the White House?" And Kelso's like, "How well is the president protected?" Because someone wants to hurt the president, that's why. Like, you're right, it's a threat. It's a threat on the president's life. Where am I at right now? I'm at Eric Foreman's place in Point Place. No! It's just really funny. It's just kind of show you just how much of an idiot Kelso really is. And they become really paranoid. And the great thing about that is they have a ton of circles in the show. And they do a few circles in this episode. There's 3 circles in here. So they're just getting high and high and high. And it's just, they become more and more paranoid as time goes on. And it's just a really funny episode that really just shows them working together. And it's just a really funny episode that is definitely worth a watch. And early on in the episode, Kelso does what's probably his best burn catchphrase. For some reason, he has a golf club, and Red and Kitty are going to go ice fishing, and Red's like, I don't want to go. Kitty's like, why? Brad's like, because I don't want you to go. And Kelso treats the golf club like a shotgun. He's like, burn! Just like a lot of funny lines in this episode. Very funny episode. Definitely check it out. Season 7 is my favorite episode of That 70s Show, so definitely check it out if you haven't already, because it's just a great, funny season. So that's it for my top 10 That 70s Show episodes. And on Wednesday, we are going to be doing a movie that I love, and I know a few people that I know love. And originally, I was going to do another movie for Wednesday, but I wasn't able to get the movie from my library. So, I'm going to have to postpone it to Friday, hopefully. Hopefully, I'll get it next week so I can do it on Friday. I don't want to reveal what movie for Friday it is yet, because, one, I want it to be a surprise, and two, it's a bit of an obscure movie. A modern movie, but it's obscure movie. So on Wednesday, I will be doing my backup plan. And the movie I'm going to be talking about on Wednesday is How High. So that's going to be Wednesday, and I'll see you then.